Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Burnout Paradise Remastered running on the Ryzen 5 5500U. Now this remaster is currently running at 1080p with the highest graphical preset and the performance is pretty decent. We're getting averages that are pretty great for a racing game like this, and the 1% lows are keeping up for the most part, but as things speed up and the intensity gets up there, the FPS will start to drop and you will have situations where, the 1% lows here dropped all the way down to 34. So that lets you know that there is going to be a bit of fluctuation that happens here and there at 1080p, but while you're playing the game, it's going to be very difficult to notice this unless you're really in some intense situations and the FPS starts to tank. So if you want to completely avoid any issues like that, you're better off setting the game to medium. At the medium settings, you are going to have an average of 60 almost all the time, and those 1% lows are not looking very low from that 60. Now the game itself actually has a cap of 60 FPS. You can turn off VSync and it's still not going to go above 60. It has to do with the fact that the game's physics are actually tied to the frame rate. So if the developers wanted to unlock that, they'd have to rework a lot of stuff. And by this remaster, just trying to get it to run, it was pretty obvious that there were some major budget issues when it comes to making this remaster. Because while I love the first Burnout Paradise, this was a pain to get to work because the game would not launch. Every time I would try to load into the game, it would crash. Looking into it, it's a very common problem. It has to do with multiple things can cause it. The issues that you might run into is webcams not allowing you to actually function, and that's very annoying on a laptop where the webcam is built in. So I had to go in and actually disable the webcam within the device manager, and that wasn't enough to fix my problem, because another issue that the game has is that if you have anyone in your friends list that has a name that's too long, it actually will not let you load in. It will just crash. So I actually had to unfriend someone who, to be fair, on Origin, I have not, played any games with them in, at this point, like 8 years. So it wasn't a big deal to have to unfriend them. But, if it's like your friend, like someone that you play games with regularly, it could be kind of annoying to have to just delete them from your friends list just to be able to play this remaster. But I mean, besides that, while actually playing the game and racing at the medium settings, you get a very consistent FPS. You see there that the 1% lows did take a dip down to the 40 range, but if you pay attention to those frame times, the situations where that happens in is really not frequent. It's not going to be something that you're going to really notice while playing the game most of the time. Personally, I would just play the game at the medium settings. I don't really see a reason to go all the way to high and just put yourself into a situation where you might run into performance issues, especially with just how consistently smooth it is to play this at the medium settings. I just don't really see a reason to go to high where you could potentially drop down into the 30s, because the lowest we saw with the medium preset was actually that moment that I showed you where it dropped down to 45. For the most part, it stays in the 50 range, so you're gonna have a much smoother, much more enjoyable experience playing the game at the medium settings. I'm just glad to see that 1080p is completely doable throughout the entirety of this. But anyways, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.